Welcome to this Java break with Basis. This is part 2 of backing up your BBx data to the cloud in a heartbeat. Basis has made it simple. In part 1, we presented an overview of replicating your data to the cloud, and it introduced some of the terminology and concepts from both the Amazon cloud and of replication, and then finally of backing up your data. My name is Paul Yeomans, and I'll be joined today for some demonstrations by Amir Child. First of all, for our community of Pro 5, Visual Pro 5, and BBJ developers, I want to state at the outset that data replication to the cloud does apply to you. You can present this important feature to your customers today. The session will include a brief review of some of the basic concepts of the Amazon cloud world and the Basis pre-configured cloud image. We will note the steps required to back up your data to the cloud, the preparation of your data, and we'll review the costs. The focus of this session, however, is the preparation of your data. And at the end, we'll take your questions and provide you with some answers. What we covered in part 1 was what data replication was all about, and we demoed setting it up from the Basis Enterprise Manager. We also covered using the Basis AMI, which stands for Amazon Machine Image, and we use that as a quick and easy path to launch a pre-configured cloud machine. And then we also covered the benefits, and we touched on costs last time as well. First of all, the Basis AMI is simply a pre-configured machine running in the cloud that takes you into the cloud world with its nearly unlimited power, hardware, disk space, scalability, bandwidth, and capacity, while delivering end-to-end security with redundant backups and encryption. A quick review of the Basis data replication feature. First of all, there is no data conversion required in order to implement the data replication feature. Whether you're running Pro 5, Visual Pro 5, or BBJ and want to implement replication, all that requires is that you run on a Basis database under BBJ's control. You do not have to convert any data. If you're on Visual Pro 5, you will switch from your Pro 5 data server to the BBJ data server. If you're on Pro 5, you will need to install BBJ on the server and implement data server syntax in your config.bbx or in your actual code. If you're on BBJ, there is nothing for you to do. Replication is available and can be configured through the Enterprise Manager. For specifics on enabling data replication and auditing for your Pro 5, vPro 5, and BBJ apps, I direct you to this recent Java break. Let's talk about the basic steps to get you to data replicate in the cloud. Replication provides you with live, up-to-the-minute backup of your programs, data, and other files from your source system. The steps required to set up replication include creating the volume. That's where your data will go. Then you launch the Transformer AMI, mount the volume or drive to the cloud machine, rsync your data, which is pushing your data up to the cloud, create the replication job and start that replication job, and finally set up your data backup. There are just these few steps to deliver the powerful replication feature that you can present to your clients. When we talk about preparing your data, we're talking about your data, applications, configurations, and your scripts. The first step is to use the snapshot of a formatted drive, and Basis provides you with one, or you can create your own. This provides the starting point for the next step, which is to create a volume for your data from the snapshot. The authentication mechanism is accomplished by the EC2 keys, and we'll touch on that in a moment. The EC2 keys grant permission to attach the volume to the Transformer AMI. That's the cloud machine. The unique volume ID defines what is being attached to the cloud machine. We now have a cloud machine up and running. Our volume is attached to the machine, and we're ready for the next step, rsyncing your data. Rsyncing is a one-time task that effectively moves your data from your ground machine up to that cloud machine we've started. A cloud or virtual machine licensing facilitates running a license on virtualization software such as VMware, Xen, or Amazon Cloud. This license expires and renews automatically every 24 hours so that changing host IDs will not interrupt the production or development process. What are those requirements? Well, Virtual licenses are available in BBJ versions 10 or higher. It requires the Enterprise Edition, and it requires an active Software Asset Management subscription, what we call SAM. So now we're at the rsynching our data step. We use a program such as WinSCP, for Windows obviously, or rsync, available for Linux, to copy the files to the mounted volume. Another option for moving large amounts of files or data into the Amazon cloud is using the AWS Import-Export service. So here's what we have set up so far. Here's a ground machine, and we've created a cloud machine using the Basis AMI, so that's up and running. We use the WinSCP for the one-time process of rsyncing the data up to the R machine. And if we've got Linux, we'd use rsync, and now we're ready to go.
Now we're going to go ahead and log into the Amazon console. And now we're going to go ahead and go to EC2, create our volume from a snapshot. Click on Snapshots, and we're going to do a search for Transformer, and we're going to look under Public Snapshots. Now that you see that the Basis Transformer Replication example volumes appeared, I'm going to right-click and say Create Volume from Snapshot. We're going to want a standard volume, and we want to take note of the availability zone. In this case, the availability zone is US East 1A. And we're going to go ahead and click Yes, Create. Now we'll go to Volumes. Now that your My Drive has been created, take note of the volume ID and the availability zone. Once you have those written down, let's go to AMIs, do a search for Transformer, and we're going to look under Public Images. The Basis Transformer AMI appears. I'm going to right-click, select Launch. You'll notice we're running on a T1 micro instance. We're going to choose the US East 1A availability zone, since that's where our volume is located as well. Click Next. Now we need to enter our user data. If you go to the Replication User Data with LVM document, you can cut and paste this section right here, and we can copy that directly into our user data. Paste that in. Now we need to enter our private key and our certificate key information. If you have not done so already, please take a look at the Ground to Cloud document. It gives you instructions on how this is done. So I'm going to go to my terminal window, and less my server.key file, copy that information. Now I'm going to less my server CRT file and paste that information in. I'm going to enter my volume ID, and I'm going to click Continue. We can set the defaults for the storage device configuration. We're going to give our machine a name, Replication. I already have an existing set of key pairs, so if you need to know how to create a set of key pairs, you can reference a document we have online called How to Create a Key Pair. You can go ahead and click Next. Now for security group configuration, I'm going to select the demo security group I already have in place. However, we do have a document online called How to Create and Configure Security Groups in order for you to get that configured. I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. All the information looks correct. Availability zone, my private keys, my user data. I'm going to go ahead and click Launch. We'll go ahead and close this window. Okay, now we see our instance is running. And we could scroll down and see that our mounted data directory is mounted as SDF. So now what we'll do is go to a terminal, and we'll go ahead and log in. So I have my command ready here. Go ahead and copy that, paste, hit enter. We're connected. We can test that by going by cding to /mount/data ls, and we can see that we've got our configuration directory. We do a pwd. We are connected to mount data. So now that we've been able to show that we are connected to our machine in the cloud, we're going to go ahead and rsync our data. When rsyncing your data, you can rsync your data from any Unix-based machine by simply running an rsync command. I already have the rsync command here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste it into my terminal window. Go ahead and enter. Runs through, said it's complete. So now we can go ahead and SSH back over to our cloud machine. We're logged in. So now we're going to go ahead and cd to our mount data directory, ls, See in the chili DD directory. And we can see that our data has been rsynced. Now that we're on the Windows side, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate getting our data moved via WinSCP to our replication server in the cloud. We're going to go ahead and kick off WinSCP, and I have my machine already created, utilizing the same name that we got currently set in the cloud. Go ahead and click Login. We're now connected. You can see I have a My Data directory here. We're going to go ahead and navigate to our Mount Data directory. Go into our My Data directory. So now we're going to move our chili DD directory over to our Mount Data directory. And we can do that simply by dragging and dropping. It's going to ask us, do we want to make the copy? We say copy. We can go in now and double click our chili DD, see that our files are there. We can also open up PuTTY, double click, log into our remote machine, see the /mount/data ls, see chili DD. There's all our data. Now that we have all our data rsynced to the cloud, we're going to go ahead and set up our replication job. Go ahead and kick off Enterprise Manager on our ground Linux machine. Go ahead and log in. Now we're going to go ahead and click on Replication. No replication jobs are created yet, so we're going to click New. Click Next. Now we're going to give our replication job a name, chili DD replication. Choose our source database. Notice it creates a target database called Chili Company Replication. Get our host name of our cloud replication machine. Paste that into Enterprise Manager. Admin password, and we'll test connection. Connection was successful. Click Next. Our job was successfully created. Go back into Enterprise Manager. You can see it hasn't synced yet, so we'll go ahead and click Refresh. Now we can see that our job has been synced up. Now we'll go ahead and connect to that machine through Enterprise Manager. Now we see our Chili Company replicated database. Look at our tables.
Okay, now that we're done with the rsync step, let's start replication. Amir will walk us through this process, and he'll demonstrate, first of all, deleting a record on the source machine, and then he'll flip over and show the result on the target machine that it too has been deleted. And then he'll add a record to the source machine, and we'll see the result on the target machine. Amir?
Go ahead and execute some SQL. Select. Now you can see that our select statement executed on our replication machine, and here's the results. We'll go back to our local host, click on our chili DD database, run that same select, execute. Now you can see it's all in there. Now we'll go ahead and delete a record from the category table. Execute. It's completed. Now we'll go over to our cloud machine and run the select again, and we see that it's deleted. Now we can go back to our production machine. Now we're going to go ahead and insert a row into that table. Insert. So as you can see, the new entry is there on the replication side as well. You can also go to Information, click on the Miscellaneous tab, and see that this database is already set to be read-only.
The final piece is the data backup piece. We use Duplicity for data backup. Duplicity is a software suite providing encrypted, digitally signed, and versioned backups to a remote server. In the Amazon world, that remote server is referred to as S3. Duplicity devises a scheme where the first archive is a complete backup, and subsequent backups are only adding differences from that first backup. Duplicity is included with the basis AMI, no cost. In order to set up our data backup, we create that S3 bucket. We put Duplicity command into the script. We run the script from the BBJ scheduler. We pause the replication process when it indicates that it is caught up with that ground machine, execute the Duplicity script, and then resume replication. What benefits do you receive doing all this? With database and file replication, you have the ultimate in disaster recovery, off-site preservation of your data. You've also created a live database backup that never requires you to bring the server down or to kick users off. The stateful backup exists even with users on the system. You also have a read-only database copy. If you have an organization or you're working with an organization that uses resource-hungry queries and reports that typically slow the system way down, you can now run those queries against the database copy. Here's a schematic showing what we've set up. First, there's your ground machine with all of your data, and you've created an Amazon machine of whatever size and speed you choose using the basis AMI, which is ready and waiting for your data. We then set up data replication to run and keep your Amazon machine up to date. Periodically, you will use duplicity, already a part of the basis AMI, to run a backup copy of your data, which is stored by Amazon in what they call S3. You may elect to have multiple S3s for your data depending on your backup protocol. Back in the days of running tape backups, here at Basis, we would run a nightly backup by department, a server backup weekly, and keep a weekly copy offsite. Additionally, we periodically took a snapshot of our business accounting, and we would keep those copies offsite and store them for actually several years.
Now that our replication is set up, we are going to go ahead and set up duplicity for our backup purposes. So we'll go to our main dashboard in Amazon. I've already created an S3 bucket, but when you're setting up your duplicity, you're going to need to create an S3 bucket, and you also need to get your AWS access keys. So as you can see, I already have a Chili Company database backup bucket created. Currently there's nothing in it. Go ahead and log into our replication machine, CD to our My Drive, in this case it's /mount/data. And you can see I've created a scripts directory. In the scripts directory I've created my duplicity shell script. And we've also given you the framework to create that shell script as well. If you do a Google search on our site for backup.sh.txt, you'll see this script where you can go in, copy this script, vie it on the cloud machine, enter your access ID, your secret access key, your bucket name, and your passphrase, and you're good to go. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and execute the duplicity script just to show that it's working. So as you can see that it created our duplicity backup without an issue. Go back to our S3 console, do a refresh on the bucket, and there are duplicity backups. All right, for our next step, we are going to set up a schedule to have our duplicity backups run daily. So the first step is we need to create a BBJ program that will scall our script. So we'll backup.bbj. Add a release, write that out. Next to .bbj. Go to Enterprise Manager, click on Scheduling. I'm going to click Add a new schedule. This is going to be daily Chili DB backup. It's going to repeat daily, 1 day, and we're going to set the time to start. For demo purposes, we're going to have this start at 11:08 a.m. today. And we're going to go ahead and add a step. So we're going to call a program. Go to our mount data scripts backup.bbj. So we select our program. We're going to set all the defaults. We're going to check the quiet box and select Run Now. Executed correctly. Click OK, and then we click OK again. So we have our first task to backup daily.
There are lots of backup protocols in use out in the field, and most of them can be incorporated into this simple model. So what does all this functionality cost? We would be considering your basis licenses, the replication feature, the cost of the Amazon machines, and any data transfer fees that Amazon might include, the cost of the backups for those incremental nightly or full backups that we would do weekly, the cost of the duplicity software, which is responsible for creating that data snapshot, and the actual storage in S3. For the basis piece, we need to be on the Enterprise Edition of BBJ 10 or higher and have current SAM on the license. This requirement brings you the replication feature as an included benefit. So what do these Amazon machines cost us? Well, first of all, they do offer a free tier, 750 hours on what they refer to as a micro instance, and that's 750 hours a month. Where we are more comfortable is suggesting what they refer to as a medium-high CPU on-demand instance. This is a fairly robust machine. And here we see the costs for a Linux machine running on that size instance, 17 cents an hour. So, taking advantage of Basis's platform flexibility, you can actually run a less expensive Linux machine, they do have Windows machines by the way, for your backups, even though your ground systems might be Windows or some other OS. We can then take that 17 cents and extrapolate that for running an instance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that Linux machine would cost you $122 a month. We can also extrapolate one that runs more typical business hours, 60 hours a week, and that machine would cost us $40 a month. The next piece, data transfer up to those Amazon machines and between those machines. The good news, to upload your data to the Amazon machine, there is no charge. So you have the Basis licenses in the Amazon machines. What about automated data backup with no user downtime? First of all, duplicity is included in the Basis AMI and there's no additional cost. Duplicity compresses your data and sends it to what Amazon refers to as S3. Mentioned that a time or two. S3 is a simple web service interface used to store and retrieve any amount of data at any time from anywhere on the web. For data volume, let's say that we run a nightly incremental backup of 1 gigabyte and a weekly full backup of 10 gigabytes. The data transfer over to S3 storage in Amazon has no cost. That storage itself comes to $4 a month. Amazon automatically stores your data in multiple facilities and on multiple devices in those facilities, thereby keeping your data secure. Want to reduce your storage costs still further? Opt for what they term glacier storage and reduce your costs to 10% if you're willing to wait a few hours for access to your data. That's not much different than retrieving your offsite tape backup from across town. Glacier storage in this scenario would cost 40 cents a month. So let's review the costs. We have the Enterprise Edition of BBJ version 10 or higher, and this provides us replication feature at no additional cost. Our robust Amazon machine running 24/7 will cost us approximately $122 a month. There are no charges for transferring and syncing your data. And to securely back up your data, there is no charge for the data transfer or for the duplicity software that makes the backup possible. It comes with the Basis AMI. The S3 storage for your backed up data costs just $4 a month. And we can opt for Glacier storage for 1 cent per gigabyte per month if we wanted to drop that even further. So in total, yes, it's a very low total cost. On a machine running 24/7, it comes to $126 a month. We've got loads of resources on this subject available for you. Enterprise Manager, replication jobs, an introduction to replication to get you started, and a little bit about the Transformer AMI. That's the pre-configured Basis machine that we've made available for you to use. Still more resources. Creating a key pair, which Amir touched on, a basic ground to cloud document, and how to create and configure security groups, another piece that Amir touched on. We've had several Java breaks that also touched on this subject, the titles of which are Transform Your BBx Cloud Deployments, Database Replication, and Enabling Database Replication and Auditing for Pro 5, Visual Pro 5, and BBJ. And those videos are ready for you 24 hours a day. Need additional help? You might consider Basis Professional Services. Our experience is certainly your benefit. Remember, Basis International runs exclusively in the cloud. So in summary, we ran through a quick overview of the cloud concepts and some of that terminology. We ran through the steps to backing up your data to the cloud. Today we talked mostly about preparing your data, presented you with some resources, we did a cost review, and hopefully you see the value here that you can present your customers today. Before we take your questions, another reminder of TechCon 2013. If you have not registered, it's coming up May 13th through the 15th with post-conference training to follow on May 16th and 17th. Now, let's take your questions.